Chapter 3. Gabby. Gabby had been squinting up at the ceiling, trying to decide if the lights in the room had gotten brighter, when someone said, "Hello!" She looked over to find a girl perched on the opposite edge of the couch. The girl had coppery hair and bright blue leggings, and a cheerful smile. The thing about hospitals was that few people smiled like that. They grimaced with worry, or pursed their lips with pity, and on occasion they beamed with relief, but they rarely seemed cheerful. "Hi," said Gabby cautiously. "What's your name?" asked the girl. She looks like she was Gabby's age. There were a few other 12-year-olds here, but all of them were sick. In fact, Gabby hadn't seen a girl her age who wasn't sick all summer. "Gabrielle Torres," she said, then added, "Most people call me Gabby. You?" The girl's smile brightened, as if the question thrilled her. "My name's Aria." She held up her hand, and Gabby could see the name etched into a metal pendant on the girl's charm bracelet. "See?" Gabby nodded. It was a pretty name, one she hadn't really heard before. A beat of silence fell between them. Gabby realized Aria was staring at her. Gabby stared back. "So," said Aria. She tapped her fingers on her knee, her gaze wandering over the room like she was searching for something, anything, to say. When her eyes found the far green wall, her lips curved up. "What's your favorite color?" she asked. Gabby's eyebrows rose. People asked a lot of questions in hospitals. How are you feeling? Can you rate your pain? Do you need anything? But what's your favorite color? Wasn't one of them. She shrugged. "I'm not sure," Gabby said. She knew Marco's favorite, green, and she knew what hers used to be, purple. But it had been so long since she thought about something silly like that. With so many big questions out there, how could she care about something stupid like colors? The black music notes on her notebook stared up at her from their white background, not helping. "Don't worry," said Aria. "I'm not sure either." "Really?" Aria nodded. "Really. Or at least I can't decide. I see one color and I think that might be it, my favorite. But then I see another and I change my mind. It's so hard to pick only one. Like my laces," she said, gesturing to the shoestrings, which were now hot pink. I changed them twice so far today." Gabby almost smiled. Aria was weird. "There is one color I don't like," admitted Aria. "The color they've painted the hospital steps. That sad gray. It's almost like a non-color. It's sickly," offered Gabby. "Exactly," said Aria, shaking her head. Something moved at the edge of Gabby's sight, and she turned to see the nurse wheeling Henry away. Gabby waved and Henry waved back. Aria watched him go too, with a strange look on her face. "That's Henry," said Gabby. "Do you know him?" After a pause, Aria shook her head. "Not really. Why is he here?" Gabby smiled sadly. "If you asked him, he'll say it's because the doctors like him too much to let him go." Her smile fell. "Wouldn't it be nice to live in a world where that was true?" "He's really sick," she added. "I don't know if he's going to get better." "The smoke," Aria said to herself. "It's really dark." Gabby frowned. "What are you talking about?" Aria's attention snapped back to her. "Nothing. I hope he gets better." "Me too," said Gabby. She squinted at Aria. What was she doing in the hospital? Unlike Gabby, she didn't wear the battle scars of those bound to the sick. No bags under her eyes from spending nights here. No cringing at the sound of a distant cough. Nothing tired or worn or tense about her. In fact, she radiated health. "Do you have family being treated here?" asked Gabby. Aria shook her head. "Then why are you here?" asked Gabby, hoping she didn't sound rude. Aria looked down at her pink laces. "I'm just here to help." "Oh," said Gabby. "So you're like a volunteer?" Aria hesitated, scrunched up her brow, and then nodded decidedly. "Yes, like that." "I didn't know they let people our age work at the hospital," said Gabby. Aria hesitated again. Well, she said, you have to start sometime. What about you? What about me? Asked Gabby. Do you have family here? Now it was Gabby's turn to hesitate. She said more in the last few minutes than she had in days. It felt nice to talk to someone, and she hated the idea of the girl's smile turning tight with pity. But it wasn't like Gabby could hide Marco's sickness. Not when she was still. Not when she was in his hospital. My brother's here, said Gabby finally replied. He's sick. Gabby braced herself for the I'm sorry, but Arya simply nodded and asked, Is it bad? Like Henry? Gabby looked down at her notebook. It's different. Marco's bad had started last year on a soccer field. At first they thought the pain in his leg and hip was just another growth spurt. He was tall for 14, but it kept getting worse. And then one day, when he and Gabby were racing up the wooded hill behind their house, he had to stop. He couldn't make it to the top, and they took him to the doctor and found out that it wasn't normal, wasn't natural. The test confirmed it. A series of tumors, such an ugly word, like a kind of beast, were attacking the bones in Marco's left leg, from his knee all the way up through his hip, and they were growing fast. In a matter of weeks, the Torres family life had been overtaken by the bad. Marco began an aggressive treatment plan to stop the rumors from spreading. The doctors I said rumors, I meant tumors. The doctors explained that they had to shrink the tumors first, so when they operated on Marco, it would be easier to remove them all. Nothing about their treatment had been easy, but Marco had done it. He fought his way this far, and now it was time to operate. Or it should be, but... Gabby? Pressed Arya. We're waiting, she said, willing herself to say the words out loud. We moved here over the summer so my brother Marco could have an operation, but a couple weeks ago he got sick. Not a big kind of sick, a small kind, a bad cold, but still, they keep putting his surgery on hold, and now we're waiting. The truth was, every time Marco coughed, every time his temperature went up or slept too long, the panic in Gabby's chest got worse. What if they couldn't clear him for surgery? What if the bad came back before they could operate? What if... It's okay, said Arya softly, as if she could hear Gabby's worried thoughts, and Arya's tone did make Gabby relax just a little bit. I'm starting school tomorrow, Gabby went on, and I'm worried about Marco. But there's this part of me that can't wait to get away from here. When I'm here, all anyone can think about, is my brother's sickness. But when I go to school, at least I can pretend for a little while that things are okay. Normal. That I'm not just the sister of a kid with cancer. The moment she spoke those words, Gabby felt horrible. She wasn't ashamed of Marco or his illness, but if she could have anything in the world, it would be for him to get healthy. It wasn't Marco's fault he was sick. This is why I should keep my mouth shut, Gabby told herself. Half of the time her thoughts didn't seem important. The other half of the time she hated herself for even thinking them. Gabby started to take back what she'd said when Arya said, That makes sense. It does? Gabby asked Gabby. Arya nodded. Sure, your brother's sick, you're not. Gabby found herself nodding. I know it's wrong, she said, but I'm just tired of... I don't know. She fumbled for words. In a hospital, the only people who matter are the ones in the beds. But when someone you care about is sick, you get sick too. In a different way. Just then she heard a text come in on her phone. She dug it out of her pocket. What was that? Asked Arya, as the phone made another chirping sound. My mom, said Gabby, getting to her feet. I have to go. She couldn't believe she'd told the girl so much, but it felt good. Thanks, she added. For what? Asked Arya. For listening. Arya smiled. That's what I'm here for. At that, Gabby's heart sank a little. Sitting there talking to Arya, she'd felt special, important. She'd totally forgotten that Arya was a volunteer at the hospital. It was probably just her job to make people feel better. I'll see you around, said Gabby, quickly turning to go. Arya shoved her hands in the pockets of her skirt and smiled. You will.